the Musketeer Coaches Show, and it's right here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMS. Brought to you by Bob Rose North End Zone in Leeds, where the show is for today. By the way, do want to gear up for next week on Tuesday, the Boys and Girls Club auction. It's taking place at the Point After. Always a great event, so definitely be out for that. The Coaches Show is brought to you by, of course, Bob Rose, but also brought to you by Knife River. We're talking Musketeer hockey. The Musketeers right now are 13-4-2. That's good for 28 points. They're sitting in second place in the Western Conference. And let me run down a few things real quick here of things coming up. They got the toy drive that's going on for the Musketeers. It's up until December 13th. And if you give one or more toys worth a total value of $15 or more, you receive a ticket to the December 14th game. Very simple. One ticket per person. The hours at the office, 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. You can check that out and ask for more details. Another thing for teachers, this is a cool thing coming up. It's Dash for Cash. It's presented by Penny Plumbing. I think I know that guy. Sunday, January 27th, the first intermission. And they'll have at least $4,000 in cash on the ice. And what it is for teachers, and they use it for whatever teacher stuff does, books, equipment, whatever the case is. What they're asking you to do is an essay of why you need it. And there's a limited amount of teachers that'll be out there. You dash for cash, you bring it back and use it for all your school stuff. I know a lot of times our fundings are a little slow on that stuff. But you could also raise money as well. The ticket kickback deal, too. You purchase tickets to the game January 26th, and they're $15 tickets. 5 goes to a classroom. Any student, staff, all that kind of stuff. You can contact the Musketeers for more information. And one more thing. December 8th is the Star Wars night and teddy bear toss as well. All right, lots of things to cover. And all that kind of stuff. I assume you're bringing a teddy bear with you, Coach Luke Strand?
Yeah, we're going to bring the largest teddy bear possible. We can get on the bench to heave over. How about
that? Chuck it. You can get it over the boards.
Ted. Yeah, Ted part 3. How about
that? Oh, it's an awesome deal. These are the things before we even talk about hockey is it's awesome for, obviously, the community and the organization. But, Luke, this is really cool for the players to get involved in this stuff.
Yeah, it's so meaningful. I think the depth of obviously their play brings on nuances in their life, but these moments in the community, people, relations, giving back are just, they're the start of what they're going to do the rest of their careers, and let's make them as great as they can be at it. So it's just an honor. I mean, obviously it ties our whole community with what we want to do. And the more impact we have that way, hopefully the more impact we can, keep that role all the way through.
Perfect. Yeah. So check it out. We'll talk more about that Dash for Cash. And then
I'm thinking Principal Jared should be in that Dash for Cash.
Oh my God. Jared they'd probably go, you're not a teacher, buddy. Yes, I am a teacher. He's an awesome principal. And, I will pass that on because I want to see his compete level on the ice.
I don't think the rest of the teachers do, but I do too. That'd be worth it.
I'll make sure that's passed into the right spot. But well, the Musketeers had 3 games this last week. It was a Wednesday game, victory over Waterloo. It was a Friday game, OT loss to Fargo, and then Saturday at Des Moines, and a 4-1 victory over the Buccaneers in that one. So I guess, especially shorthanded, you're satisfied with 5 out of 6 points?
Yeah, I mean, it's, it was shorthanded for sure. I think opportunity, loomed there with suspensions and things, and then obviously illness with POS and things. So, no, we want 6, obviously. That's, considering it was good. I thought some guys really put their arms around some opportunities for themselves, which in the long run here is only going to benefit us, the more guys that have that experience.
Well, let's jump right into Waterloo. It was a big victory over a very good team. and you're missing Anthony Kerr and Luke Johnson especially, and then obviously Lombardi up front for his forechecking and stuff. But talk about how Krenzen, Babbage, Smith, Plasinski, and Passanen filled in and got those roles, got more minutes.
Yeah, you know what? Obviously, I think Johnson and Anthony, they play in our top pairing. They probably log, just so people are on the same page, anywhere 24 to 30 minutes, 22 to 30, because you never know the outcome in the special teams, etc. But so now you're going to put those minutes onto guys, in their new roles. And at the same time, you found some really bright spots. I thought Nolan Krenzen's game just totally elevated. I thought all the D's did. You take Babbage in a leadership role now, and he's got to run a power play. He's got to do some things that way. And then the beginning, it felt rough in the Waterloo game. I thought as the game went on, they did a great job of keeping pucks moving, just having really positive touches on the puck. And then, for sure, in my opinion, got our forwards to really hump it defensively. I thought they had great support defensively. And, when you're not giving up odd mans because you're spending time in the offensive zone, which we did, it's going to go a long ways against a powerful Waterloo.
Well, shoot, if we looked at your matchup with Waterloo, maybe the first game, and where they came really heavy with their forecheck, jammed you in, put pressure on the blue line to turn pucks over, these guys have come a long way.
They have, and you know what, individually, but also just as a whole. I mean, some guys' games and confidence for sure are climbing, but as a whole, I think you just end up being more confident as a core. I think if you put yourself in the locker room, like the defense think they have a team and the forwards think they have a little team, and yet there's a team inside of the team. So they took a lot of pride in what they did and what they had to do, and give them all the credit in the world because they did a great job with it. And obviously one of the biggest defenders they had was Crosby, and Crosby was excellent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes we look past Crosby because we expect excellent on a regular basis. It's kind of fun. Talk about this game now with Waterloo. They had a nice play to get their first goal, but then you get that nice, grimy, greasy goal by Aaron Grounds. I thought that was huge.
Huge fourth line. I mean, I'll call him fourth line, grind line, whatever you want to call them. Their minutes, this whole stretch for me, were invaluable. Obviously, they scored a goal and got after that part, and it was just a very powerful moment.
Got that. They take the lead, and then that third period. This was a heck of a hockey game. But Bobby Brink, he on the power play, obviously, and the power play is clicking. We'll talk more about special teams. But that shorthanded goal was just nasty, the way he played the defender as a screen.
Yeah, I mean, one, I think if you go you get Post to get a stop on it. Yep. You get him not to panic and ship the puck down the ice. But rather actually pull back, got his head up on Bobby for an exit. And then, when Bobby attacks defense, I think there's probably two thoughts. One is okay, don't make me look like a fool because he's going to go through me. But what they don't probably give him credit for is he can go around people. So he set the D up, pulled it back, and obviously used the D as a screen, but to go bar down at a crucial time was a great momentum shift in our group for sure.
Yeah, and then they finish off. Obviously he had 2 goals, and then Parker Ford. It almost looked 201 feet the way he put that in the empty net.
Well, it's one of those. You're glad when they score it, right? You're scared to death if they don't score it. But Porto comes off in his first comment was like, "Yeah, I practice that every week." And they go, "Okay." Just make sure you keep it in the middle of the net at that velocity. Sounds good to me.
Oh, yeah. In that, honestly, at the time, you probably would have taken the ice just to reset your guys.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been, yeah, it was just, our times against Waterloo, the idea that you put the nail in it the way we did was big. I just think confidence-wise, it was big for our group just to come back. I think we're a great third-period team. We've had a couple blips in the radar on it, but we play really well in the third.
What is it settling down? And we've noticed that, especially in the last month or well, it's just kind of like your third periods have been your best.
They've been our best. I think we've outscored our opponents the most in our third periods. I think it's settling down. I think if you really give it credit, you give it credit for maybe the first two periods. I'm almost wearing the team down,
Mm-hmm.
and then being able to, take advantage of that, in that closing frame. So, but if you're going to pay the price, you go back to not this recent Des Moines game, but the Des Moines game before, where we made him go back and get a puck 91 times. Well, the third period is going to feel pretty good when you did all that work for the first two.
Yeah.
So it's one of those instances, I think, as we do this, it's something we got to consider and just make it a big prideful factor.
Well, it was obviously showing you got the first win and relief over a team that came back. This is the last time I'll bring it up, Coach.
Hey, it was the exact kick in the tail that we might have needed at the right time.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Right now, what is that now? 6, 7, 8, 10 games with a point. And that kind of spearheaded you, that one overtime loss to Waterloo for the next.
It did. I think the overtime loss, it put us into a meeting setting the next day that was very powerful for our group. And ever since, it's just kind of, I think there's a momentum about our guys, not only personality-wise, just in belief-wise, but the confident that they go out there and work for each other. And they've done a great job holding each other accountable to what we expect to be our standard.
Luke Strand is on the line. He is the Musketeer head coach. We're talking Musketeer hockey. It's brought to you by, of course, Bob Rose and Knife River, the Musketeer Coaches Show, that is. Let's jump into Friday. So not only you're missing those three guys we've already talked about, why don't we throw in the top point getter in the USHL to boot, and then play a team that plays hungry, hard, and really coming off an overtime win and want to get some momentum up the line.
They did. Fargo, early there, the game's whatever. This is the fourth game where 2 wins, 1 regulation loss, 1 overtime loss. They're good. Fargo's good. You can look at the record, whatever. They're a talented group. I know all their pieces will come together at the right time. Kerry always does it. So that part's coming. So it's not like an opponent. They're a good opponent and we're really actually a veteran group of opponents. So I didn't like our start. I thought we were sluggish. I thought we maybe looked around and maybe felt sorry for ourselves. Maybe in the beginning, no pass. Who's going to score? What's going to happen? Our defensive core actually probably looked a little bit turkey-legged in the beginning, maybe like Thanksgiving was still with us. But, we got through that first period. And, even though we didn't feel we played well, we didn't feel like we got some things done. The game was 0-0, and that just kind of, put us into the second. And obviously going down was something we didn't want to do. But if you're telling me we're going to go down and it's going to be late and we have a chance to win and we hadn't really played well, sometimes that's some of the best winning when you don't play well.
Yeah, and it just kind of stuck. I thought their goaltender played great. I thought yours did too. And if it was going to be zeros in overtime, that'd be the 1-2 stars in that game. But one of their top guys, and Josh Nodler, scores 14:20 into the third period. How nervous are you? Because you just couldn't find the back of the net for a change.
Yeah, you know what? It was weird because the third, I felt that we did. We had a good push and we had good momentum going through that period. We felt like we were doing some earning about what we had going, and for them to score, it was deflating. But you got to tell you, the group, just kind of that whole third period comment earlier, like just kind of stayed with us, stuck onto it, and obviously, the big goal by Nilsson, because it's his first, an unbelievable pass by Brink, but go back a step and actually Brinker knocks down an open net goal with his stick that the kid tries to rip in there. So, if it goes down 2-0, game over. If Brinker makes a defensive stop with the stick and actually tips it out of the rink, that might even been the play that really made the most sense to us.
Yeah. And afterwards, did you ask Bobby if he practices that 130-foot pass to the tape?
Well, I've seen that.
Okay.
And I've seen him actually. He can pretty much tip a golf ball off a driver. So but it's one of those things you still got to care. Like, you're down, your back's against the wall, and you're down in the game, and now you want to score, but you got to go make a defensive play to keep this thing alive, and he did. And for Brinker to come around the net, get his eyes up, good for Nils. I thought Nilsson did a great job there, popping in for Pospisil, like get guys points, getting on the board himself. It was good for Albin to really get a chance to contribute, and I think he felt very good about it.
It was a terrific goal too. He had to get around that leg pad.
He had to get around, and then he's got back pressure because he caught the far blue, kind of trickily, not full speed by any means, and then they've got to shed the defender chasing him, and then get your eyes up and make a poised play as you're skating into the clock, you're seeing the time on the score.
You tie it, you go to overtime, you're guaranteed a point. That's all you got was a point, but you almost saw a jump in the step like, oh, we got this. And Brinker was so close, and Kelly was so close.
Oh, the overtime, I thought we've definitely had our looks. The way it ends, but it's an experience. I'm sure Bakes is out there and maybe loses track of his guy or whatnot. It's a great experience for him. He's a young player who's coming through our league, and there he is in a crucial moment. Well, I can almost promise you that's never going to happen to Bach again. So things you got to go through, and it really kind of set the table because our guys were angry, which was, you could be settling and happy you got a point and slough it off, but our guys were pretty angry after not getting the 2 points.
Well, we got that win. That's 3 out of a possible 4. Why don't we take a break, and then we'll talk about Saturday here. The Musketeer Coaches Show, Bob Rose North End Zone. It's brought to you by Knife River. This is the Musketeer Coaches Show, and it's right here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMS, brought to you by Bob Rose North End Zone. Also brought to you by Knife River, as a proud sponsor of the Coaches Show. On the line is Luke Strand. He is the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers. He's, by the way, before we talk about Game 3, you're dashing through the snow to go watch some young hockey, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it was... driving separate over to Des Moines was one thing, but then getting ahead of that nasty bit of snow that came through, which was good. It was on our tail, that's for sure. My boy and I got out of there in time, I think, and so now it's a week filled of watching, well, either our own affiliates, people that are already on our radar here for the draft coming up, and then selfishly my own, just getting a chance to be on the ice with my own son and watch him play a couple games and be a dad for a week is pretty special time.
Yeah. Well, the reason is because you have no games this week, but that's a whole other story. But you'll catch up to them when you lose your players, Coach. That's
the unusual. Let's put it that
way. Anyways, let's talk about now Saturday. You're sitting. You got the overtime loss, then you move and you head down to Des Moines for the second time in just over a week, and you're going to take on a Buccaneer team. Both teams are tied for second place, and it's the pinball machine and everything else in between. And, well, they snuck one on you because did it go off a skate blade? What went? I mean, it was nothing. You had Jake Seibel in there, and there's nothing any goalie could do on that.
Yeah, I thought Seibs was great to start this, but, they center a pass that selfishly, there's no video review in Des Moines. So I see an attacking player that uses a hard right edge outside snowplow effect to put a puck in, and they said that all 8 eyes on the rink did not see that. But yet the Twitter feed that I see between periods definitely showed a right edge that kicked the puck in, but that's how it goes. And I think when you're in Des Moines and that rink is small, things happen quick. You play with fire if you're not on top of it. I wouldn't say we weren't. I thought it was a good game. I thought they were very good in the first. Mm-hmm. I thought we were solid. I don't think we were as good as they were, but I thought Seibel was great.
Yeah, you look at it, and I know it's very tough to review a kicking goal. And I think, didn't we talk about it like last year? Why don't you just allow kicking, and that way we don't have to have some kind of video judgment or something?
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't like the guy was being Pele and actually like kicking it.
No.
But anyone that's been on skates, you can angle your blade and you can use a harder like swizzle into your edge and like you can elevate a puck if you want to off that. So, but yeah, it's a discretionary call and no review. So not maybe it wasn't even something to complain about as I did, but maybe just something to refocus our own group.
Well, whatever worked, because at the time you were getting penalized, they were getting nothing, and they finally your first power. I don't know. I just look at numbers, and I'm like, most penalized team it hasn't given you a power play, but they've got them. But second period, you come out and you finally get that power play, and you're missing Pospisil on the power play, obviously. But you have Luke Johnson back on the power play, and you're setting up Callie and Kelly where Poss is, and just a terrific shot for Marcus.
Yeah, if you really rewind back to the beginning, Marcus played that flank, and he's a shooter. There's no question on that part. Johnson obviously is a great power play quarterback. He's turning in to be right now, and to get a puck around and maybe give Marcus, because Johns could relieve some pressure, put a strike on it to Marcus's stick, and as Kelly attacks, you give him some time and space and allow him in a shooting position. Currently, you bet on Marcus, I think, pretty much every time.
Yeah, and that takes a little something to it if you look at it. Okay, so Bobby brings it back to Johnson. Johns puts it where Callie and Kelly can drill it. That's a little art form of putting it in the right spot.
It is, and you think you watch Johns. He pulls their whole group over to one side of the rink, which is going to give Marcus more time. He hits Marcus in flight on the forehand, who gets his eyes up, and now we've had some net traffic. We've had Parker skate in front of the goalie's eyes, but then now it's Marcus versus the goalie, and from between the top of the circle and the dot, that's a goal.
Well, I tell you what, that was the tire, and then I think that kind of gave you a boost a little bit too. Especially, I thought you played a terrific third period, all lines, and the game winner goes to Jordan Steinmetz, but and a terrific shot. Don't get me wrong, but Parker Ford was a beast for 3 periods in that game.
Parker, he did what Parker does, and we almost take it for granted because he's so consistent at it now. But his legs turned over pucks. He checked. He used his legs to create offense. Like when he's checking, his offense climbs, and Fordo got into people's hands, strip pucks, that whole line. I thought, Fordo, signing and Matt Miller might be our most unsung line because they play against the other team's top group. You haven't seen Crone score against them. You haven't seen Brown score against them. You haven't seen First Off score against them. So they shut down the other team's group, but at the same time, they're finding the back of the net themselves.
Yeah, they really are. They're also, that's where it goes. No one's scoring against them, and they're scoring because Parker Ford gets the next one, and that was him. I don't know. They had a little extra rubber in the puck. That thing bounced all over the place, and he's swatting flies, and he finally gets it in. And in fact, what was it? Maddie is out front trying to swat flies too, and it goes in before he could hit it.
I think the puck bounced over Maddie's stick, so he couldn't get it in. Again, there's Parker with a forecheck turnover, and that first goal that he set up Steinmetz, one, he catches the guy from behind, strips the puck, and then goes right from the defensive, positioning on that into offense. And credit Steiny for being smart enough to face the puck, get open, be in a shooter spot, and rip. So that goal, those 2 back-to-back goals by that same group, those are when it's a 1-1 game, and then all of a sudden it's a 3-1 game pretty much before you get your eyes back up to see it. It's big-time momentum.
Yeah, and that place gets loud. They got raucous, fun fans over there, and I thought I heard the air just come out of them.
Yeah, you might have heard the air before the game when some fan challenged Abby about victory before, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, you know what it did, and then there's Brink again. So the game's not over, and we're not done playing. And Brinker, to his credit to himself, he's not done being offensive either, because he takes a bouncing puck rebound, doesn't stop it, doesn't set it, he bounces it, hits a. When you're able to shoot a rolling puck, you oftentimes don't know where it goes. The goalie doesn't really know where it's going, and yet Brinker somehow goes bar down on a rolling puck.
You're in that spot, and we kind of talked about it after the game. We're like going, okay, most people will shoot it right into the midsection, or but he's going bar down. Like, there was no goalie there at the time, because it comes to him, and he goes bar down. I mean, there's no chance.
Yeah, he's he's offensive. Like, he's got a brain that says offense. Don't get me wrong. He's totally responsible 200 feet of the rink, but when the puck's on offense, that kid's brain is elevated to offense. And those are tough situations. All of a sudden, let's just say he doesn't score and they come down and they make a 3-2. Now you're talking Des Moines rink, and a lot of things happen quick. And again, that nail was big, and you got to be proud of our group in the third period. They had a way of elevating. We weren't satisfied. The light was at the end of the tunnel. You got a little break. A lot of times people take their foot off the gas, and we put our foot on the gas.
Well, and you talk about Brink's goal, but you can also go to Kerr on having that puck and what he did with the puck beforehand. Kerr and Johnson, I was like, wow, I forgot how good they are together.
I was watching the game this morning, and I just chuckled to myself. I'm like, ooh, we missed that. Because I watched our Lincoln game and noticed those two right away. And then, you watch the Des Moines game, you see them back, and then you remember watching the previous two games when they weren't there. Yeah, they just bring a different element about what's coming down the pipe for us here and how they've played. And, unfortunately, we're going to lose Johns here for the next 5 games due to the World Challenge. But, again, it's that opportunity time for others.
Well, perfect. On that note, let's take a break. This is the Musketeer Coaches Show at Bob Rose North End Zone, the sponsor, and obviously Knife River. And you're listening to Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS. The Musketeer Coaches Show is right here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS. Curtis Anderson with you, along with the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers and Luke Strand. Sioux City right now 13-4-2. That is good for 28 points. Sits in second place right now. Idle this week, by the way, which is crazy, but then making up for 5 games. I don't know. Anyways, before we dive into that, Coach, talk about the power play and penalty kill, especially Saturday night when, in fact, the matchup with Des Moines, they're 0-for on the power play, and I think you're sitting like 40% against them. It's and they're a really good team. What's going so well?
Well, the unfortunate part about our maybe beginning of that game, discipline-wise, was taking penalties so far away from our own net, which maybe ticky-tack, maybe good penalties, whatever they were called. And so now our group steps up. So the timing of them as far as getting kills is huge. I think we found pressure points. The guys are very much detailed about executing to our plan. And one of the bigger pieces about executing to the plan is obviously our goaltending has been great with on the kill. But we've had the ability to either have up ice pressure or entry pressure, forcing teams to dump. Maybe Saturday, actually, we did turn over some pucks on some exits, but not, usually we get to a puck and we've got it 200 feet, which, to make a power play go back down the rink and back down the rink and back down the rink is huge. And the best we can, we try to keep the puck on one side of the rink, not only for the goalie's sake, but for everybody's. And Des Moines are very passing through the seam type team that I thought our sticks, and we had a State Farm, a player there that was very responsible in the middle, trying to keep pucks on one side, and they've done a great job with it.
Well, I tell you what, and they really have. And then on the penalty kill, I can't say enough, obviously, with Ben Cross. And then Seibel on Saturday, I thought played great as well.
He did. I think when your goaltender not only is, they're making the first stop because they get an opportunity, but now they're either eating that puck or they're putting that rebound to a place because the opposition's got more numbers than you. They're getting into a non-threatening rebound, area. It means a lot. And then at that point, our pressure, one of our indicators is a rebound. Our pressure has been very good. Guys getting the spots and then making stops, and then again getting that clear, which take for granted sometimes. You get a puck out of the zone, but they only got the red line. Well, that no one gets the line change, and they come right back at you. So getting the puck all the way down the rink is huge.
Yeah, it's been working really well. The goaltenders have been obviously Cross dominant, but Jake to get another start was pretty awesome too, because that just puts that Ben has a guy behind him that can support, and they can support each other and challenge each other too.
Every time, I think a duo, a tandem. You look back, Sibes was scheduled to start, and then he broke his ring finger, and then that was almost a 3-week process. Then he played and did well. Then he was supposed to start and was ill. So it hasn't got that rhythm, and great for Crosby because he's definitely been stood up and really taken on that test and passed for sure. But I think for our group now, you see Sibes go in there and do well, and they're both um, they're both mega likable guys. Like all of our team sees them compete in practice. All of our team sees them prepare. All of our team sees their routine. It's not like one settled back into like, a 1 and a 2. They're both like Sibes anytime. I know the group's got his back. Benny, anytime the group's got his back.
Yeah, they really do, and so far so good, and keep them healthy that way. Coach, you have been dealing with sickness. Who hasn't been sick, and can we get them sick for this week so they'll be healthy in a week from Friday?
Yeah, we tried to mandate everyone got sick on Sunday and they can be sick this week. No, it's crazy. Like this whole strep throat thing's gone around. I think there's been a little of that. I know there's fatigue. I know there's some bumps and some bruises. We've been on a pretty good clip. Part of, I think, winning is going after it with all energy all the time. And we've had that. So the rest, obviously, you want to keep playing because you're winning, but the rest was probably timely. And now hopefully we can come back on the flip side of this break and really take advantage of being full strength.
Well, you won't be. Yeah, you won't be full strength. At least maybe everyone healthy. Bobby Brink, Parker Ford, and Luke Johnson. 3 very good players for you. 3 experienced players will be missing 5 games. Awesome deal for them. Junior 8 challenge. And I guess for people don't know what it is, kind of explained how this works. It happens at this time every year, and they bring the best of the best for Team USA.
Yeah, they're a chance to go represent our country. It's a huge honor for them to, 1, don our stars and stripes, but 2, just for our league. Like they're representing our league. They're out there to make a statement to say that our league is the best junior hockey league in the world. So they go out. Canada's got 2 teams, an East and a West. Then you usually have a group of Swedes, Switzerland, Slovaks. You've got so the tournament's stacked with some good players, some good teams, pretty all relative age. There's some age restrictions, like they're only allowed 599 born players. They're the oldest, so no 98s can be on the team, even though they're junior eligible. Then they've got other restrictions as far as the rest of the group has got to be younger. So you're taking draft eligible guys. It's a huge moment for our guys to go up there because every NHL team sends multiple people, if not like directors of scouting there. So you're on display the whole time.
Yeah, and you're talking about on display with scouts, and we're talking a lot of draft years for these guys.
It is. I mean, you got to figure Fordo's draft eligible, Johnson's draft eligible, Brink's first year for the draft, and the league goes on and goes on and goes on that way. So, there's a couple of things. I think they are fortunate. Obviously, Avs is on staff with them as well. So I think for our own players, I know that's a big thing. When you've got someone from your own staff, kind of giving you a vote behind the scenes, opportunities sometimes become more apparent, which is good. So now I just know those guys will they'll make us proud in Sioux City, but also for the U.S.
Musketeer Coaches Show is here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMS. Curtis Anderson speaking with Luke Strand, the head coach of the Musketeers. Again, they have this week off, and then they'll get after it for 5 games before the holiday break. Coach, I've had questions about it, so I'll bring it up to you. 2 guys that you have picked up, and what's the scenario? Adam Samuelson, Dominic Vidoli, 2 defensemen that could really shore up spots and give a little more experience.
Yeah, Adams he was at NTDP player at Boston College. His father's Ulf Samuelson, a longtime NHL player. Samuel, he's going to finish up his school here. He's trying to get a couple, hopefully, things moved around possibly so he's got to stay in grace with school, but at the same time, pretty excited to get out here and be a Musketeer for sure. And Dominic just got back from, their whole team, Boston University, was in Ireland. So he's getting back here. Him and his agents, advisors, and family are all sitting down this week here. And I'm trying not to be a pressuring person, but his ability to skate and move pucks to join our club would be a pretty big shot in the arm.
And I guess I look at it as they need to play, and it seems like these guys are behind some really high end guys right now, and maybe not seeing as much ice time as they demand.
Both of them, I mean, both of them play on defensive corps that have 5, 6, 7 NHL picks on them. So um, they do need that time. You know, you look at Adam. Adam went through. He had a knee injury. Kind of had a slow ending the last year, which is maybe got him off to a little slower start just on the rehab thing. The guy's 6'6". He's a monster. So a leg is going to be a big thing for him. He's healthy, but you know their roster is postured with NHL picks playing in front of them, and I think as a family and as a group that way, they really wanted to dig in and get playing. And then you see the other side with Dominic, who he went straight into BU from Culver Military Academy without playing junior hockey, and he walks into 5 NHL picks playing in front of him, and he got off to a hip flexor groin issue early that kind of put him back, and with some other guys in front, and he's scraping and clawing. But I think as a family and again as an advising group, they want to get him going and maybe jumpstart him here with some playtime.
When could we possibly, if everything gets settled and when could we see either one of these guys?
The earliest would be the 7th, would be for that weekend. If we can get them here before before Christmas break here, from even the 11th and 14th and 15th would be a shot in the arm. There's some acclimation that has to happen coming back, either minutes, situations, new family, doing all those things. But you don't really, I don't want to put them in a bad spot academically, because they're going to end up going back to college at some point, and to forego their work that they've already put in is foolish on our part. So we'll show some patience here, but what's got to happen?
Yeah, the other side, it could on the defense, you have young guys there, and they might have less minutes, but it might be where they can develop as well.
It is. I mean, I think if we have a chance to manage some guys' minutes and do some things that way is important to us. We've got probably over the roster restriction right now with those guys added to our roster, but we get to play these 5 games with however you want us to replacement players, I guess, for John Sporto and Brinker.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just do some shuffling about our list and about our roster and our affiliate list and this replacement players. So that's kind of got me tied up here as the GM part of this whole thing. Hockey is one thing. The game is awesome, but to juggle some of these things, moving parts is always something to be recognized. That's for sure.
Well, and the other side too is where the affiliate list could come into play as well, right?
Big time. I mean, they're allowed to play 6 games off the affiliate list. So there's part of that's got to happen. I know we've got a 2,000 space, like an older player space. So, all of our affiliates, you can play from that list. You're just going to get shuffled over to that list, which means nothing except for we get to house an extra player, and they play those games. And then once their games are up, you got to ship them over and find someone new for that spot.
There's your juggling. Yeah.
That's the PG version. How about that?
You join the circus. I think you can handle, right?
Yeah. No, it's part of what you want to try to posture yourself. I think here where health, you've got depth. I think you want to posture yourself where you don't want to lose track of your young guys in the sight of what these minutes mean to these players and how much better they can become when they get to play. So there's both. I think if we can find some more minutes for some other D, maybe a little bit less minutes for Johnson, Kerr, without losing anything, the longevity of those 2 is even better for us.
Well, we look at it and we hope for the best, that they come in and get involved with the Musketeers. Your next game is a week from Friday. Right now you're sitting with 28 points. You might have a couple teams jump you the way the West, how tight it is right now. And I guess we shouldn't worry because we all play the same amount of games.
Yeah, I mean, the games in hand will come in factor. And I know I'm sure someone will freak that we dropped in the standings or did whatever, but it's hard to make up ground when you're not playing. We just got to have a good week. I mean, the guys are hitting it hard back home and getting some pretty valuable development opportunity, but conditioning opportunity right now. And then we're going to ship the guys out, send them home for a few days. Andy's on the road. I'm on the road, just trying to see as many prospects and things that we can see.
Gotcha. Yeah, it would be nice for these guys to see some family.
Family's good, and I think just it always you'll come back with a little giddy up in your step about what that means to you. So kind of our rule is you got to get out of town somewhere. It might not be your home, but you got to get somewhere. So I know some guys are headed to Minneapolis to hang out with those guys. Couple, Nemo and Lombo are flying back to Philly. Nemo's mom's over, so they're gonna be in Philadelphia. And it's just they got some travel ahead of them. I know Anthony was going back. I think Kluster's even going back to Alaska. So
Good.
it's one of those opportunities for guys to see some family, just kind of decompress. It's an important piece.
Perfect. Well, that should do it. Take some time off and make sure, Luca, when you're up there, make sure you have a couple pieces of walleye up there for me, would you?
I got that part covered, and I'll tip my hat to your Vikings. Even I didn't have to, but
I didn't even bring up the Vikings or the Badgers.
Yeah, I know.
That's the kind of guy I am.
I'm gonna go back and put my head in the sand for a bit here and come back up.
Coach, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Curtis.
Yep, that is Luke Strand. He's the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers. The Musketeer Coaches Show is right here, brought to you by Bob Rose, North End Zone. Remember, next week, Tuesday, the Boys and Girls Club Christmas auction is going to take place. Make sure you're out there for that. This is also brought to you by Knife River.